Hi guys, what's going on? This is Cool Toys, and what I have here on my table today is a little display diorama that I set up with these vehicles and action figures. I will go from left to right to show you. Pretty cool. It's just a helicopter. I don't have the box anymore. I think I just ripped it up and threw it away because I think there's plenty. I actually got it from Walmart. It was a helicopter and a howitzer. So over here on the very left hand side, that is the mech from Avatar. Sorry, it's not coming in too clear. There, it's better. Really awesome. You can mix it with your 3 3/4 and maybe even squeeze a 4-inch GI Joe action figure in there. I have Rock and Roll in there right now. He's the mech on the flight line. I'm pretending in this diorama. He's protecting the helicopter while it loads the troops. They do their safety checks and they're getting ready to load that howitzer cannon and take it out to the range or to a battle. Over here we have Rakondo and Hulk. Got some pilots in here. You can actually put about 4 action figures inside the cockpit of this helicopter, but the seats are really weird. The guys you do put in there sit really low, like you can barely see their heads, and the seats, like I said, are strange. They're not like to fit. It's like a bench seat almost in the top level and the bottom level. What this playset did come with, well, it's a helicopter and howitzer, came with this action figure. They're almost the same height as your 3 3/4 GI Joes, but they have a wide body. Their frame is wide. It's like Power of the Force Star Wars figures, you know, like they made them like really strange. They don't fit any of their regular O-ring counterparts. Well, in Star Wars, it was just, you know, the 5 points of articulation. But it has a wider shoulder to shoulder than a regular GI Joe. So, I mean, you can have them in the background if you really, really wanted to, and maybe even customize these figures and repaint them, because they're almost like in a winter outfit, winter camouflage. You know, they wouldn't have brown flak jackets unless, you know, it was just left over from their desert operations. Anyway, we got Shockwave, not to be mistaken with Soundwave, the Transformer Decepticon, but I consider him basically as security. Whenever flights are getting ready to take off, he's watching the flight line, making sure no unauthorized vehicles are pulling up, or Cobra coming in for an attack. He would be on patrol. We got good old Gung Ho on the gun. Not a 50 cal, but like a double 50 cal, one of those really heavy machine guns that you see on some of the helicopters nowadays. This helicopter, I'll bring it in a minute and we'll take a better look at it. I'm going to remove the troops and I'll talk about that. You over here on the right, you got the howitzer, you got Footloose, and what's his name? Alpine, and Repeater. I was trying to remember what his name is. I finally looked them up. Repeater. And the howitzer in the back. And what's really awesome, it comes with these like cables set up that you can have on the gun, on the cannon, and you can tow it away with the helicopter. Like I said, I'll show that in just a minute. So I'm going to do a left to right one more time. Some pretty nice detail on the helicopter and the cannon, if I don't say so myself. The only thing is it has these sound effect orange buttons. You can paint over them or remove them if you want to customize them. So without further ado, if y'all just stand by a minute, I'm going to remove the figures and we'll take a closer look. Stand by. Okay, I'm back. We'll take a look at the howitzer first. So here it is. When they have the cables, you can lift it up and it holds the wheels, which is really awesome and amazing. I wish, you know, GI Joe had some of these real life features or, you know, equipment that you can use for your vehicles and your plays and dioramas that you want to do with displays. So really interesting, really simple idea. You know, you have wheel wells that the tires would go into. Just pretend, you know, basically this would be like a steel box, almost like, you know, a bucket on a dump truck. or not, I'm sorry, not a dump truck, a backhoe, or whatever heavy equipment. And you have the major cables, either chains or this, it looks like it's a cable. You would have the receiving hook area, or the receiver at the top that would connect to the hook. Pretty nice detail. Really like it, really appreciate it that they did include that with this set. And your howitzer, I don't have my tripod with me, so I'm going to have to just use one hand. So that's one of the buttons. Pretty nice sound effect. Let's try it one more time. So you can imagine little kids would love those sound effects, even you big kids out there playing for your real world scenarios. The gun, let me see if it does do a 360. Hang on one second. Yeah, I think it does a 360, but like I said, I'm just using one hand right now. The wheels, it's really hollow underneath, and it's made of a cheaper plastic, but once you have it like this, it looks pretty good. It has a sticker here, long range Canon, it says. You can remove that, I'm sure, put some G.I. Joe stickers on here. And if you, excuse me, all right, I'm back. If you did some dry brushing, you can make it look like there's some rusting going on this. If they haven't been doing their maintenance on the Canon, it being out in the field too long. It does elevate, but sorry, let me try it one more time. It wasn't in frame. So it goes flat down like that, and it only elevates about to there, but that's pretty good. It's about what you need. Howitzers wouldn't go like, straight up. They would always be on an angle. They can shoot, sometimes like 20 miles away, something like that, or even less. I'm not an expert on them. And comes to a V formation, and it does have a trailer hook where you can connect it to a vehicle if you like. This set, I believe it did not come with any kind of like Humvee or 5-ton truck. Maybe it did, but I just have it somewhere else. And you would tow it once the helicopter landed, dropped the howitzer. The tow vehicle will come up and tow it away to the battlefield. All right, so let's set that aside. This helicopter, pretty decent. The whole set, like I said, with everything and maybe even another vehicle, was probably like less than $20. It was amazing. I got it from Walmart, if I didn't say so earlier. Here's the gunner's nest area. The gun moves a little bit left and right. Even, I don't know, the seat. No, the seat stays stationary, but just the gun turns, which is really nice. It makes it look like it's pushing on the action figure, so you can make it look like he's like pop, 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 shooting left to right, right to left. It does move in and out. I really like that feature, that they did have that more attention to detail to put an action like that, an action feature. You have a little bar here the troops can grab and hold on to. You have a cannon over here. It's one of those spring-loaded. It shoots pretty good from what I remember. You push it in, push a button. But, these are one of those things you can remove if you don't want it on there. Up here in the cockpit where the pilots would be, it opens up. Now, they're like cheap plastic. The windows don't have any plastic windows. It's just open, you can just pretend it's really clear glass. And I just have these two guys in here, these two Joes. He's kind of slumped over. Let's move him out real quick. Like I said, the seats, they're not form-fitting for the troops, so they kind of like, just slide all over the place. But you can fit, hang on one second. I know the camera's shaking around a little bit. Let me get this guy. Bend his feet. I'm trying to bend his legs so I can shove him in here. So you can put about 4 or maybe even 5 or 6 guys in here. 2 in the bottom, 2 in the back, or maybe even squeeze 3 and 3. And it would kind of look like this. The pilot would be really low, and then you would have his, navigator in the back, looking at the charts and trying to figure out where they're going, or somebody checking the radar, what have you. Up here you have the engines, some pretty nice detail on the engines for this helicopter. You do have rotary rotors. They spin around all right, not really fluent where they would like, spin and spin and spin. It kind of like just does a few turns and then it stops on its own, but good enough. At least it spins. The blades themselves, they kind of rotate. They didn't have to do that, but they did for this. Is really awesome. The pitch, I believe on some helicopters, they would pitch if they need to roll back or, dive down. And I think you can take the blades out if you like. You can already see that, they're starting to warp. That's why I mostly don't keep the blades, and especially in my more expensive, real original vintage GI Joe helicopters, because I just don't want the sagging. This vehicle, and like I said, it was only like 20 bucks, so I don't care. I'll leave them in there. You have a handle on the back. You can keep it or remove it if you really wanted to. If you wanted to cut this off and here, and then bondo it out and make it more flush. Really cool. You have some tow hitch here, so you can like retrieve cargo or lower troops. Even has like a little stopper here. I think like once you unwheel it and you want it to stay at a certain height, I think you like put in this lock, which is nice. Like I said, here's your buttons. We'll go through them. All right, one. So you can imagine that was like the helicopter blade spinning up and the engine starting up. Pretty decent. I'm not sure if it does a different sound or exactly the same. We'll try it. Yep. So that's your engines. That sounded just a little bit different, but anyways, we'll move on to the next. Trying to get close so the camera picks it up, the sound effects. So same thing. I think they all just do one sound. All right, we're on the third one now. Nice. Let me get gung-ho involved with that. You can imagine him just spraying down on the battlefield at the enemy targets. And number 4. Sound almost like a... Yeah, I don't like that one. Okay, you can stop. That's enough. Anyway, that was like some sci-fi laser, so I'm probably never going to use that 4th one. I like the first 3. You probably agree with me on that. You got the rear rotor, spins pretty decent, and has some kind of like dish on the back if you wanted to like cut that off and put a plastic like neon, wire it up for a flashing bulb. That would be cool. On the back, it's almost like a little wing here. And I like the back look here. If you see it, I'm going to try and keep the camera still for a second. You could do some really awesome photography here with your troops loading and unloading up the ramp. Again, a lot of these vehicles, the problem they make, the biggest mistake they make, what I'm trying to say, is that they have it so low to the ground where the troops would probably have to bend over to get in there, and the vehicles don't even fit. It's really like narrow, so it could be a customization to widen it out. Let me just grab a troop and try and get him in here. This is footloose. So yeah, like I said, he's hitting his head at the top. He can't just walk straight in. And any real world life helicopter helos and all, you would be able to just run right into the back of the helicopter standing up. Most people bend because you have this fear that when the propellers are spinning, even though you have this very high area, it just feels like the propellers are going to chop your head off. It's just a natural reaction, a flinch. If someone like throws a punch at you or, pretends to throw a punch, you're going to blink, you're going to dodge. And that's how it is in real life when you're running in the back of a helicopter. On the back, you got some windows here, no plexiglass or any glass. You can just put your fingers right through, but looks nice. I like the detailing in the plastic. Another little bar here and a big window. It would be better if they just had this totally covered up or this cut out. But, I'd rather be covered up in it. And that's something you can do as customization. Just completely cover this up and just maybe have the 2 windows, even block the windows. The other side of the engine, you have different guns over here. No spring fired. The spring fired is only on this side, the driver's side, your left side. And plastic wheels here, real cheap and generic, just keeps it up off the ground, and two in the back. The ramp, and this is what it would look like closed. It's really, kind of cheap plastic, very flexible. Doesn't really, it stays up if you push it up in there. So that's what it would look like with it completely closed. And it has a little groove where you can kind of pull it with your finger and drop the rear loading area of this helicopter. And might as well just do a quick look at the Avatar mech. If you guys haven't picked this up way back in the day, I bought this when the movie was in the theater still. It didn't do well in stores. I actually found it at Ollie's, only maybe a couple weeks or a month after the movie was in the theater, and I got it 15 or 20% off the original price. I believe I bought one or two of them. I might have another one still in the box, but this plastic, whatever they used, isn't holding up. It's starting to, get very, very brittle. I had to take, I don't know if you can say, the zip ties right here to hold that hip in, and they didn't do a very good job on the legs to hold it up. So that's why I have it up against the wall, because if you tried to stand this thing up on its own, it would just fall over and fall over, or at least mine does, and it's very frustrating. The gun is pretty nice, really huge. It doesn't stay in the hand that well. I got the dagger to stay in there. You have the combat blade, and it does have a sheath where it goes into. So I stuck it in his hand, got rock and roll in there. Like I said, he's doing security. It is a belt-fed machine gun, and the bullets don't have any detail, but you can, paint that up on your own if you would like to. And I've seen some guys customize these. You can paint it cobra blue or do it a, green or desert color, whatever you like. But I think it matches pretty good with this helicopter and this setup. And it would look good on a flight line for your dioramas or displays. All right, hang on one second. All right, I'm back. So, I don't have my tripod, so like I said, I'm trying to do this one-handed. Just wanted to connect the cable and the howitzer. I'm just showing you what it would look like on the side and underneath, because I probably won't get a good view with it with one hand. My hand would be shaking. So there's a hook on the bottom, decent enough. You can connect it, and I'll pick it up and show you what it would look like. So you can just imagine the helicopter is in midair, and it's trying to connect to the tow hook. And you got the howitzer on here. And which one was it? Was it the first one? Was the engines? Flying away. We'll do it one more time, try and get a better view. Let me pull the camera back more. So you can just imagine it being airlifted away. Really awesome. I like it that they gave that feature in this set. All right, so that's basically my final look at this set. Thank you very much. I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. Just hang out, do something you like, get out your toys and play with them. I do have, my inbox collection. You never really want to remove them. You just feel like it drops the value, but that's why sometimes you buy one to open and one to play with. And there you go. If you ever want to sell one, you can sell the one that's still in the package or sell them both. Whatever. So, thank you again. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Please comment. Send some comments. Thumbs up. Thank you very much. This was Cool Toys. Please comment, like, subscribe. Later.